Meaning that when you're operating in your most authentic self, that lives around you begin to change. Why? 5 years ago, I left my job to pursue purpose, but in order to understand my purpose, I had to understand my identity. Now I'm in that space where now the identity under pressure. You are allowing your brokenness to define your identity. You think that you are your brokenness. Let me help you out, men. You're not your past, right? You're not your mom and daddy's issues. No, you was called. It's important that we become aware of the obstacles that's in our life that is preventing us from really moving in purpose, right? In order for you to act upon the purpose, the fire burden that's on the inside of you, you have to know who you are. You got to shift your mindset, know that you have value, understand, recognize your strength, but also identify the obstacles that's in your life. It's time to break the misconception, break these false identities, break the image in which you're aligned with. Understand that purpose in your life is not a destination, but it's a journey. Far too often, we're trying to just get to a place. No, you got to enjoy the moments that you're in. You got to be willing and be okay with enjoying the breath that you're breathing. In every moment, every opportunity, guess what? Purpose is being fulfilled.
Good morning. First of all, I want to take this moment and the opportunity to just thank each and every last one of you for even showing up today. I believe this is going to be a very impactful presentation I present this morning. I want to thank the James City County for trusting me even to grace this stage as I share my experiences, share my knowledge, just share my journey of really becoming who I was always intended and meant to be. Gerald, I want to appreciate you as well. I had a conversation with Gerald, and he made it very clear that he wanted me to share a story, share my experience of how I got to the place I am today. So if you allow me at least 40 minutes to just kind of share my heart, share where I am in my life, and also how did I get here, all right? So once again, welcome. As you all know, my name is Coach Sam Tolbert. I am the founder of Elevated Thoughts Academy, and we'll get into that in a minute. Today, the topic of discussion I really want to get into is my place is now, right? I know grammatically it may not make sense. Like some of y'all probably wonder, like, okay, my place is now. What do that mean? My place is now. What I want to do is I want us to kind of enter into the conversation of embracing the present moment, so that we can reach our full potential, all right? Let's go, all right? So just a little background about myself, who I am. Once again, I said it before, my name is Coach Sam Tolbert, the founder of Elevated Thoughts Academy. Elevated Thoughts Academy is a platform designed with a mission to help you move from potential to purpose through mindset elevation, hence the word elevate. So ultimately what I want to do, I want to help us get to a place in our mind, especially as men, as we enter into 2025. I think now we're in a pivotal position right now where we see a lot of men beginning to take their place, right? My place is now. You see a lot of men beginning to have that desire and become intentional about being the father, the husband, the friend, that ideal citizen that's going to actually make impact in the communities. We have a lot of men, they're ready to take that place, all right? So, once again, as the founder of Elevated Thoughts Academy, I built this platform to really help men, help women, help kids, children really align with their purpose by elevating their mind, their thinking, all right? I am your number one thought-seeking coach where I help liberate you from self-limiting beliefs so that you're empowered to move and soar in purpose. Liberation is one of those words that we hear often, but I don't think we really understand what liberation means. It means to set a person free, become free in your thinking, free in this realm, free in your life. So as the number one thought-seeking coach, I want to help free you from those self-limiting beliefs by introducing more positive thinking, introducing more positive thought or a different pathway to getting to purpose. I'm also a husband. I'm a father. I have 4 beautiful children, but ages 11, 9, and a set of twins, right? So yes, our household is very busy, but we make it work. So I served a total of 8 years in the Navy. A very exciting time because I had the opportunity, I was afforded the opportunity to play basketball in the Navy, right? And I can touch on that story briefly in a moment. So I had the opportunity to play basketball in the Navy. I had a very exciting career, I would say, all right? So that's exciting. Also, speaking of basketball, I played basketball in high school. I played basketball for college, right? I say this in humility, right? It's very humbling to be selected for such positions in your life, right? Some of us, we get to that place where we have the potential to reach high school basketball level, college level, Navy level, but we were never given the opportunity, right? This is similar to what I want to talk about today what happened when opportunities is afforded to you, but you don't seize the moment. What happens when you get to a place in your life and so many people are telling you your greatness and telling you how dope you are, but you don't know whether it's the right timing. I'm going to get there, all right? I'm also the author of 2 books, not one. So this is a very exciting time for me. So my first book is titled Loving a Fragile Woman. That book is my story, my journey of how me and my wife had to learn to heal together, right? I say this often, when you say I do to your significant other, you're not just saying I do to him or her, but you're also marrying their brokenness, you're marrying their traumas. So it's up to you and your spouse to actually come together and learn how to heal together. So that was my story, learning how to heal. And now my second book, Potential to Purpose, The Power of Intentional Thinking, which will be dropping January 1. But pre-orders are open. I have to put it out there. We can talk more about that in our breakout sessions. So this is a very exciting time for me. I'm an educator. Right now, I'm teaching in Portsmouth Public School. I'm teaching in Portsmouth Public Schools where I'm able to make impact. It's not just about teaching. Yes, I can teach general education, but it's different when I'm able to stand in front of future leaders, right? It's different when I'm able to stand in front of these kids who's about to make impact later on in their life, right? It's different. So as a public educator, I'm there to inspire. I'm not just there to teach, all right? I'm also a process innovator. Something you'll find out about me if you choose to take this journey with me. I'm big on processes and systems. Right, that's my language. I almost said love language, but I love processes and systems. I realize that in this life, if you don't have systems in place, you're going to find it very difficult to fall into a purpose, right? When you don't have systems in place, you're going to find it you're going to find yourself moving in circles, especially as men, right? Sometimes we find ourselves wanting to just go with the flow. But what if that flow doesn't work anymore, right? What if the flow stops? What do you have in place? So I'm a system builder. I'm a processes innovator, all right? And last but not least, certainly not least, I'm also a speaker. I'm not one of the motivational speakers that's always yelling, you can do this, you can run through walls, let's go. Come on, let's go, y'all. No, that's not me. But what I want to do is with every word, right, that leaves my mouth, every word, I want it to make impact. Right? There's a scripture, and I'm big on my faith, by the way. There's a scripture that one plants, someone waters, right? But it's God that gives the increase. What I love about me being a speaker, I know my assignment. Anytime I'm graced to step on stage, it's for a purpose and time because my place is now. All right? My place is now. All right? Y'all ready? Let's go. So, If you draw your attention to the screen here, I wanted to share some of the photos of my family. Obviously, to the top left, your left, you'll see a basketball net, like I mentioned before, playing basketball in high school, college, playing for the Navy. It was a very exciting time. Something I didn't share is I'm also a musician and a producer. I was afforded the opportunity to produce, I want to say 3 tracks. But my wife and I, we're always making music together, right? So I'm big on playing the keyboard. I start out on drums, and this is our life. This is my life as a speaker. This picture was actually at one of our events my wife and I hosted called Awake. So it was a very powerful moment for us. Bottom left, you see our beautiful kids, our 4 kids. You see my beautiful wife with a beautiful smile. Let's go, stop playing. And I got a picture of myself in the Navy working hard. Stop playing. I know it don't look like it, but I was working hard, all right? So I want to give you a snapshot of my life. Y'all ready to jump into this? Let's get it. So anytime I'm presenting or I'm afforded the opportunity to present, I like to open up with a quote. And this quote is by Eckhart Tolle, right? If you ever get a chance to read one of his books, The Power of Now, this is a very powerful book. It'll help you with where you are now. That book helps you embrace the moment, the current moment, your present moments, all right? So let's hop into this. Here we go. Realize deeply that the present moment is all you have. Make the now the primary focus of your life, all right? Make the now the primary focus of your life. Realize deeply that the present moment is all you have. Before I go further, I want you to really look at the word deeply for a moment. In a world where we're surrounded by surface friends or surface people, it seems like not a whole lot of people want to go deep anymore, right? Not a whole lot of people want to take life serious. Not a whole lot of people want to travel the deep or to explore the depths of their minds to get to the new version of self, right? And this journey I've been on, I really began to kind of unpack this journey of deep, right? Because it's in the journey of deep, it's where I begin to embrace present moments of now, right? There's so much power in our now. Sometimes we miss it because we think so far ahead into the past, or we think so far ahead into the future, or we get stuck into the past. Therefore, we can't really embrace the current moments of now. Man, I want to make sure I'm not getting ahead of myself because there's something in the now that I need to empower my future. There's something in my now that I need to get over my past. There's something in my now that I have to really get to. And as men, as we sit in this building today, I know some of you are maybe you're in that position where you're constantly thinking about your past, your failures, your shortcomings, what you haven't accomplished. Some of y'all are, 30, 40, 50 years old, and I know you're thinking about where you could have been. But what if I tell you the most powerful moment in your life is when you become awakened to the now, right? Because being awakened to the now is being awakened to the place that you should be in, right? Being awakened to the now is being awakened to the places you should be in. And we'll get to it in a minute. So realize deeply that the present moment is all you have. Make the now the primary focus of your life. This is real life. Let me share a story since Jared wanted me to share stories. I remember it was a time, I want to say 5-6 years ago, where I was so caught up on bringing in money. You know, I wanted to support my family. I wanted to make sure my wife was good, my kids was good. So I spent a lot of my time taking on overtime, right? Catch that. I want y'all to keep the word time in mind because we're about to revisit that. I spent a lot of my time taking on overtime because I didn't want to face myself in the now, right? I spent a lot of time, anytime my leadership, my supervisor would ask, like, who wants to work overtime this weekend? And it got to the point where I spent more time on the job than managing my life, managing my home. This is when that work-life balance is out of alignment, right? That work-life balance. And perhaps you're in a place in this room, perhaps you're in that place where you're trying to figure out how to balance your life. The reason why you're still stuck trying to balance your life because you haven't embraced the now moments, right? Because my place is now. All right, my place is now. So let's talk about the power of now. Once again, I do encourage you to get that book. The book is dope. Let's talk about the power of now. The time for action, growth, and purpose is not tomorrow. The time for action, growth, and purpose is not tomorrow. Have you ever been around those individuals that loves or enjoy casting visions, right? Have you ever been around those individuals that enjoy talking about what they're going to do, right? What I'm going to do next year. We're still in 2024, and yet you have individuals looking forward to 2025, but they're not doing nothing in the now that prepares them or positions them for the future, right? Not necessarily telling you need to pull and step into the future now. No, when I say doing, you're not doing anything now. What are you doing now that empowers or speaks to your future? What are you doing now that empowers and also speaks to your past? To tell your past to release you from the guilt, the shame, the brokenness, the hurt. Like, what are you doing now? What actions are you taking? It's now. It's all about now, right? My place is now. We need to embrace this moment, align our state of mind, and create the life we're meant to be. What I love about Elevated Thoughts Academy and what I love about where I am, I had to get to a place in my mind, and this is more so an elevated place. Let me be clear in this moment. It's not a lot of people up here in this elevated place, right? Right. So, because the journey to elevation is a lonely road, right? The journey to elevation, because you realize, and recently I just released a conference called Move-SOAR 2025. I do encourage you to look at that, watch that on YouTube, right? But when it comes to eagles, when they get to a certain altitude, they realize that, wait a minute, it's not a whole lot of people up here, right? And as men, it's going to be very important that you embrace your place where you start to see more for your life, you start to see more for your family, you start to see more for your kids, but you start to see more for your future. When you begin to elevate your mind, you're taking action, growth, and you start to understand that my purpose is not tomorrow, but purpose is now. Every breath you're breathing, purpose is being fulfilled, right? But you have to elevate your thinking. You have to become intentional about your state of mind because you don't want to be in a state of stuck, right, in your mind. Unfortunately, we have men that have been in the same place for years. This is something I share with my class, my students. I tell them, you don't want to be 18 years old still with a 5-year-old mindset, right? You don't want to be 18 or about to graduate, or hopefully you graduate and you still have a 7-year-old mindset. Unfortunately, when we engage with men, get this, when we engage with men 30, 40, 50 years old, they're still stuck in a place, right? And when we talk about that place, I told you my place is now. It's important that we begin to move from one place in our mind and elevate to another place because our place is now. Change your state of mind. So let's understand now, right? We're going to break this down real quick. Once again, when we talk about my place is now, I want to look at two concepts here. I want to look at the word place, and I want to look at the word now, right? So let's explore now. Let's explore now for a moment. Now speaks to timing, right? I need y'all to get this. Now speaks to timing. Now, and also now it is not limited to the times on the clock, the times on the calendar, right? Now speaks to the timing in the seasons, all right, that you're in. Timing is key. Every success is often about being in the right place at the right time, right? But the question I want to pose in this moment, how do you know when it's the right time, right? When we talk about the right time, I'm asking you in this moment, when is the right time to heal, right? When is the right time to heal from the brokenness or to be set free from your past? When is the right time for you to grow? When is the right time for you to elevate your mind? When is the right time for you to be who you was always created to be? When is the right time for you to be who you was always made and designed to be? When is that time? When is that time? Let me share this in this moment because that's the question. Like when we go through things in life, we go through things and we have these ups and downs, and we know societal norms throw so much on us as men. But the question is, when is the right time for me to walk in my purpose place, walk in greatness? Let me help you out. For some of y'all that's asking the question, when is the right time? Timing unfolds at the intersection of learned experiences and lived experiences. All right, let me say this again. Timing unfolds at the intersection of learned experiences and lived experiences. So what are you saying, Coach T? Let me help you out. When it comes to learning experiences, these are the lessons we gain indirectly from books, from mentors, from observing our surroundings, right? Observing others. For example, you all are in this room now, and once again, we're talking about when is the right time. You all are in this room receiving wisdom, receiving experiences, learned experience from Coach Sam's story, from his journey. Right? From his journey. But then there's something called a lived experience. I cannot take away from you what you've experienced in your life, but yet you're taken away by suppressing what you've gone through. You're taken away from your purpose. You're taken away from your greatness, the things you've experienced in your life and the things you've lived through. Let me say this. If you're breathing, you're living through something. If you're breathing, it's an experience that is added to the greatness, the greater place. Because my place is now. All right? So at intersection, right? Truth is also revealed at the intersection of learned experiences and lived experiences. So what's the truth about my life? The truth is I don't want to go back through my lived experiences because it's too painful. I don't want to have to face past versions of myself because it's too frustrating. And better yet, and because I don't want to face past version of myself, I choose to ignore the wisdom that is gained through books, through mentors, through observing someone else's life. I would rather just stay to myself. I would rather just stay to myself. So once again, when we start asking when is the right timing, timing begins to unfold for you. When we talk about timing of healing, timing to be set free, timing to actually step into what you were always designed and meant to be, it happens at the intersection of learned experiences and lived experiences. So I want to ask you in this moment, what are you suppressing? What are those experiences you're suppressing? What are those emotions that you are suppressing? Because attached to these experiences are also emotions. And when you get to a place where you begin to understand your emotions, you get to a place where you begin to understand that my emotional state doesn't define where I'm headed. My emotional state doesn't define my identity. My emotional state doesn't define who I am and shall become. But what happens is when you're at the crossroad of decision, right? This is where maturity comes in place. When you're at the crossroad of decision, you have a choice to make now. You have a choice to make. Will I learn from my lived experience? Because the fact that I'm breathing, I'm living on, that experience is far worth more than I can even imagine. There's value here. But then because I had to get rid of my pride, now I'm open to the learned experiences. All right? So at the end of the day, timing unfolds at the intersection of learned experiences and lived experiences. Let's talk about awareness of time for a moment. Awareness of time. Once again, I want you to put your mind in this place. As we talk about time, we're talking about timing to heal, timing to walk in greatness, timing to be who you was called and designed and purposed to be. This is the time we're talking about. It's important that we understand timing so that we don't waste time, right? So when we talk about the awareness of timing and awareness of time, being aware of timing is crucial. We must be conscious of our experiences, past and present. We must be intentional about the opportunities that present themselves. Like I said before, that there's opportunities under heaven. There's an opportunity in time for us to heal, learn, and grow. And perhaps the reason why some of us are still stuck in a place, right? My place is now. The reason why some of us are still stuck in a place in our mind is because we don't want to heal. We don't want to learn. We don't want to grow. And as men, it's very important for us to embrace these moments of healing because it's important for our future. And it's not about us, but the generation that's coming. I'm telling you, as men, when we're in position in our mind and also in position in the physical, you start to see healing follow. The generations coming after us. Our generations begin to learn. Our kids begin to learn. Our community now has a leader. They have a leader to look up to. But it's important that we become aware of timing. And that awareness happens when you're standing at the intersection of lived and learned experiences. Understand this, timing absent of awareness is considered wasted. I need y'all to catch this. Timing, I told y'all before, timing happens at the intersections of learned and lived experiences. So what are you saying, Coach T? What I'm saying is we have to get out of that place of wasting time. Right? We got to get out of that place of wasting experiences, because when you waste experience, you waste time. I know it's painful. I know those memories hurt. I know it's frustrating, but when you waste experiences, you waste time. Let me just share this in this moment. I remember transitioning from the Navy. One of the hardest seasons of my life. I mean, once I got out of the military, I found myself sleeping out of my truck. I didn't have a place to stay. I didn't have a place to stay. But even in my frustrations, I found myself showing up to church to play the keyboard and the piano for others. I found myself showing up. And I would watch others running around the church getting free of the perception of freedom, right? I would look and see this while I'm still hurt. I'm still frustrated. I'm still broken. I still don't have directions. But yet, those around me looked like they're walking in freedom. When I would leave those times of fellowship, when I would leave the church services, I found myself returning to a truck, right? That was my home. That was my house. And I'll never forget, man, because it was very dark. It was very dark times for me. No one knew. Not a whole lot of people knew my condition in the moment, right? So when I talk about my places now, a lot of people didn't understand that there was healing and growth that needed to occur for me, but I didn't know where to go. I didn't know where to go. But something I had to understand, that in order for me not to waste time and waste experiences, I had to embrace even those moments. I had to embrace those moments, those dark times, those times where I wanted to give up on life, those times where I wanted to take my own life. I embrace it because now I understand. I understand the thoughts that are attached to those places, the emotions that are attached to those places. Therefore, I am empowered by it, and now I can empower others, right? It's very important that we don't waste time. It's very important we don't waste time, all right? Don't waste the experience. So let's talk about place, right? We have an understanding of now. My place is now. Now speaks to timing. But your place is not limited to a physical environment, but it's your state of mind. I need y'all to catch this. So when we say, when we make the statement or the affirmation that my place is now, you're saying my state, it's time. Catch this. I need you to get this. When you say my place is now, you're saying that my state of mind is connected to a timing where I understand my emotions, I understand my learned experiences, I also embrace my lived experience because my place is now. My place is now. My state of mind is now. In other words, I'm becoming intentional. I'm not going to allow anyone around me to tell me how I should move in this time. I choose to embrace my now because my place is now. Take my mental health serious now, right? So what is the place? My place, it's a mental landscape. It speaks of the experiences we just talked about. It's what shapes our perspectives. It also shapes our identity, right? That place is a mental landscape that also shapes our perspective, but it also shapes our identity. In other words, if I'm trying to get back to a place of originality or get to a place in which I was made in the image and the likeness of the Creator, the Most High God. If I'm trying to get back home to a place, I got to remove the obstructions that's in the way of me getting back, whether it's fear, whether it's doubt, right? These are the things I have to unpack so that I can get back to who I was originally and purposed to be. I got to make it back home. Before I experienced or went through my learned or lived experiences, there is a place called home, right? There's a place called because I was made in the hands and in the image, by the hands in the image. Therefore, I have to get back to that authentic place of mind. State of mind. What happens is if you're not careful, you allow your fears, you allow your doubts, your self-limiting beliefs. What happens is your purpose then becomes distorted. Purpose, identity, all those things, it's a journey. It's not a destination. It's not that I'm trying to get to a place. I'm trying to experience a place. I'm trying to experience my journey. Therefore, I have to unpack and remove what is obstructing me from getting back home. All right? So as I get ready to come to a close, what I want to do in this moment, using the acronym PLACE, as men, how do we embrace our place, right? How do we embrace our place? First, we have to shift and challenge our perspective and perception. I had a conversation recently. I was talking to my wife, and she asked me a question. She said, what's the difference between perspective and perception? And I made a statement before I really looked it up and really dived into it. I said, well, a lot of people use it interchangeably. A lot of people use perspective and perception interchangeably, but I begin to gain a deeper understanding just by looking at an eagle's journey. When they're ready to take flight, there are things that take place. I don't have enough time to get into it, but something happens with their perspective in their perception. Perspective speaks to the lens in which you see through. It's all perspective is also positioning, right? It's where you're standing in your mind. It's your position in your mind. It's your mindset condition as well. So if you ever want to know your perspective of a thing, look at the condition of your mind. Look at the state it's in. Look at the position your mind is in. That determines what your perspective is. Unfortunately, a lot of us are living through a broken perspective, a damaged perspective, because we choose to embrace the lens that was created by our environment, the lens that was created by our circumstances. Then we look at perception. It's how we interpret the events in our life. Perception, for the most part, it comes from our environment, how we was raised, right? So if I ever want to heal my perception, that is, I have to go back. I told y'all about the lived experiences. I have to now go back to those lived experiences to gain an understanding and also create emotional regulations around those experiences. That way I can change and challenge my perception. Shift your mindset to see challenges as opportunities. Let me say this in this moment. Something I talk about in Elevated Thoughts Academy. I talk about having a growth mindset, but also a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset tells me that I don't want to learn from my experiences, learn or live. I'm okay with who I am today. A growth mindset tells me that I want to grow from what I've gone through. I want to learn from my past experiences so I can become who I was always created and intended to be. But then there's a kinetic mindset that tells me it doesn't matter what I've gone through, where I am in life. I choose to use this kinetic energy by way of a kinetic mindset that acts upon my potential to move and soar and purpose, right? So when you shift your mindset, you begin to see challenges and opportunities to grow. The L in place represents lifelong learner. Here's the thing. As men, y'all don't have to tell me, I already know. As men, we can be so prideful. Our ego doesn't allow us to learn from others. You have that sense of pride of saying that I'm good. No, I don't have to learn from anyone. I don't want no one to tell me how to be, what to do, how to live. I want to live based on me, right? There's a danger in living in a place, right? My place is now, right? Living in a place where you don't want to learn from others around you. You also got to commit to continuous learning, personal and professional growth, right? When you embrace a mindset that always seek to learn, even in adversity. What you don't want to do, it's just accept adversity as it's over, right? This is all there is to life. No, I lean into adversities. I embrace challenges because I want to learn from it. I want to learn from versions of myself. I want to learn from places that I've gone. I want to learn from those and learned experiences. Lived and learned experiences. And then we go into the A, which is accountability. Now, let me say this. As men, I know that we struggle with accountability. I'm only speaking from experiences. We don't want to be accountable for our purpose. We don't want to be accountable to heal. We don't want to be accountable for our mindset. We don't want to be accountable for moving and soaring in our careers. But yet we want to blame others around us why we can't make it. We want to blame others around us why we can't heal from that broken child. We want to learn, or we want to suppress those emotions and not take accountability. This is something I had to do. And I also found this out. In order to accept and embrace accountability, you got to neglect and reject pride out of your life. You got to push it out because pride is the biggest enemy to accountability. When you're prideful, you don't want to take accountability. It's impossible for you to take accountability. As men, I'm telling you now, if you ever want to embrace accountability, you better reject pride and keep pride out of your life. Keep pride out of your life. Hold yourself accountable for your actions, your thoughts, and your purpose. Hold yourself accountable for the fire burden. The reality is, as men, we have something burning on the inside of us, that flame, that internal flame that's been burning before the foundation of the earth, before you even made it into this earth. Guess what? There was purpose waiting for you. But when you embrace accountability, you begin to reflect on your past and your current actions. What areas do you need accountability in order to elevate? Ask yourself these questions. When you're looking at the value areas of your life, ask yourself those questions. What area in my life needs to elevate? Where do I need more accountability so that I can elevate in my mind? All right? The next is connection. Connection. This is something that I see often. As men, we don't like to connect with that inner child. For whatever reason, we don't like to go back and connect to gain an understanding of those past versions of selves, whether it's brokenness there, whether there's pain there. We don't want to return to a place where our emotions were shattered, right? Sometimes unresolved issues from the past block your present, right? Unresolved issues from the past can stop you from moving forward. Unresolved issues and frustrations from the past can stop you from moving and soaring and purpose. At this point in time, it becomes dead weight to the point where now you can't take flight. You can't soar above the circumstances, the adversities you're facing because you are rejecting. You don't want to lean into it. You don't want to connect to that inner child so that he can heal. Healing starts with acknowledging that the inner child is there. I'm telling you now, don't suppress it. As men, we do a good job at suppressing. We do a good job at suppressing our emotions, and what tends to happen is eating us up it's destroying us on the inside. We're becoming bitter. We're becoming angry, frustrated, because we are avoiding connection to the child that needs to heal, the inner version of self. Connect with those parts of yourself that needs healing and move forward, all right? Last but not least, the E represents emotional regulation, right? Emotional regulation. It's important that we recognize that our emotions influence our actions. Our emotions influence our actions. Emotional intelligence isn't about suppressing our feelings, but embracing and learning from them. I'm going to share this in this moment. It was a time where I would suppress my emotions. And I'm talking about for years. Now, this ain't months. This is for years. And here's a revelation in emotional intelligence. I used to believe that emotional intelligence was all about suppressing and keeping my emotions tight, not sharing my emotions. But I found out real quick that emotional intelligence is all about sharing your emotion with those around you. Being vulnerable in safe spaces, that is. Knowing when to share, how to share, so that others around you can heal. That's the problem. I'm telling you, as men, it ain't about us, but it's about being the leader for our community, being a leader for our families, being a leader for our peers. And it all stems and aligns with how emotionally intelligent you are, all right? So you want to cultivate emotional resilience by understanding your emotions and how they shape your behavior. I don't have time now to get into the house theory of our thoughts or the house theories of habits, cycles, and patterns, but it is important for us to understand our mental resilience. Understand our mental resilience so we can also gain an understanding of our emotions, all right? So real quick, let's talk about some key takeaways. One, now speaks to timing while place speaks to mindset, right? I want y'all to keep that in mind because timing unfolds at the intersection of learned and lived experiences. Timing absent of awareness is considered wasted. So if you ever get to a place where you're trying to avoid those lived experiences, you're trying to suppress the emotions, guess what? What's going to end up happening? You're going to find yourself wasting time. Time to heal. Time to step into greatness. Time to be who you was always called and intended to be. Last but not least, using the acronym PLACE, it speaks to perspective, perception, lifelong learner, accountability, connection, and also emotional regulation, all right? Because your place, my place, our place, and our mindset is now. There's a timing here, and it's detrimental to what's coming next. It's detrimental and it's so much bigger than who we are, all right? So my name is Coach Sam Tolbert. As always, that's my time, and thank you for listening.